Hey folks, Mike Johnson here. If it's got wheels and an engine, you're in the right place. On this channel, we dive into car repairs, maintenance tips, and everything you need to keep your ride running smooth. If you're into cars and want to keep learning, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. All right, enough talking. Let's get into it.
In the middle of winter, conventional wisdom advises you to get out, start your car's engine and let it idle to warm up before setting off in cold weather. Contrary to popular belief, this doesn't actually extend the life of your engine. In fact, it reduces it by removing oil from the engine's cylinders and pistons. Warming up your car before driving is a residual practice from a time when carburetor engines dominated the roads. Carburetors mix gasoline and air to vaporize fuel to run an engine, but they don't have sensors that change the amount of fuel when it's cold. Instead, they use a mechanical system called a choke to temporarily restrict air intake and run a richer mixture. This is a crude way of adjusting the air-fuel ratio, and anyone who owns a carburetor engine can attest to how difficult it is to drive under load when the carburetor is throttled. It's easy to stray too rich on the mixture and foul your spark plugs. For this reason, you have to let older cars warm up before driving, or they'll stall, but carbureted engines were a dying breed in the 1980s. Modern cars use sensors to adjust fuel consumption, and idling simply doesn't warm up the engine enough for these sensors to react. How idling beats a modern engine. An internal combustion engine works by using pistons to compress a mixture of air and vaporized fuel in a cylinder. The compressed mixture then ignites to create a combustion event, as in, a small, controlled explosion that powers the engine. When your engine is cold, gasoline is less likely to evaporate and create the right ratio of air and vaporized fuel for combustion. Electronic fuel injection engines have sensors that compensate for the cold by pumping more gasoline into the mixture. The engine continues to run rich in this way until it heats up to around 40 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a problem because you are actually putting extra fuel into the combustion chamber to burn, and some of it can reach the cylinder walls, said Stephen Chardy, a mechanical engineer specializing in combustion engines at the Internal Argonne National Laboratory of Business. Gasoline is an exceptional solvent and it can actually wash the oil off the walls if you run it in these cold idle conditions for an extended period of time. You're not off the hook either if your vehicle runs on diesel. As the World Health Organization notes, diesel is sometimes used as a solvent to clean engines, tanks, and refinery equipment. As with gasoline, you don't want to pump too much for so long that it starts to clean the inside of your engine. The life of components such as piston rings and cylinder liners can be considerably reduced by eliminating fuel lubricating oil, which occurs with the extra fuel used while the engine is running rich. Less oil means more friction, which can wear down and eventually destroy vital components of your car's engine. Keep that cold air clean. If you're still not convinced, there's another major reason why you shouldn't warm up your modern car by idling for very long in winter: the environment. According to the Washington Post, Natural Resources Canada conducted an experiment in which they idled modern cars without carburetors. Before leaving 18 degrees Celsius, or just under 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Cars that idled for 5 minutes had 7% to 14% worse fuel economy than their non-idling counterparts, while cars that idled for 10 minutes turned out to be 12% to 19% worse. Worse still, idling is a major source of greenhouse gas emissions and airborne particulates. Researchers at the U.S. Department of Energy estimate that not only does idling a personal vehicle waste an additional 3 billion gallons of fuel, it also releases 30 million tons of carbon dioxide into the air. This figure also includes idling elsewhere, such as in drive-through lines and multi-stop traffic, but it shows the scale of the idling scourge. Don't sit idle any longer than you have to, whether in a school drop-off zone or in your driveway on a frosty morning. Perhaps an idling car sounds like a relatively minor drop in the bucket in the big picture, but as with a rainstorm, those drops add up, especially since the need to warm up your car is such a common misconception. Winter is particularly bad for air pollution because cold air is denser than warm air and can trap smog closer to the ground where it doesn't disperse as easily, according to AccuWeather. What's more, not idling your modern car is not only an altruistic act of using fewer natural resources and polluting the air less. It also saves you money on fuel and repairs in the long run. How to drive safely in frosty weather. Driving your car is the quickest way to warm the engine up to 40 degrees so that it returns to a normal air-to-fuel ratio. Although idling sends warm air generated by the heater core into the cabin after a few minutes, idling does surprisingly little to warm up the actual engine. We asked Volvo, which conducts cold weather testing in the Arctic, if their new cars needed any warming up, and the answer was an ever so slightly qualified no. It's best to give the engine a few seconds to build up the oil pressure before driving normally, explained a Volvo spokesperson. Good oil quality and condition are essential to protect the engine in cold start conditions. The best thing to do is start the car, take a minute to knock the ice off your windows and get started. The obvious caveat here is that if it's below zero, you need to make sure your defroster is working before you leave your driveway. Don't be the person looking through a porthole into your ice-covered windscreen. Some cars, like some Land Rovers, can speed up this process with electric heating elements in the glass. However, jumping into your car and pulling it out immediately will put unnecessary strain on your engine. It takes 5 to 15 minutes for your engine to warm up while you're driving, so take it easy for the first part of your journey. Performance cars often enforce this for you with a graduated rev limiter that doesn't allow you to use the car's full rev range until the engine is up to temperature. Engine block heater. If only there were a way to warm up your car's fluids and run the heater and defroster before starting the engine. Well, there is an engine block heater. Block heaters use an electrical element to preheat your engine's fluids so your car is ready to go and easier to start when temperatures drop. Block heaters are the reason your neighbor's Ford F-250, which is certainly not a hybrid, can have a 3-pin plug sticking out of its grille. They're a common option on trucks, with Chevy charging just $100 for a block heater on a new Colorado. Heater blocks can also be fitted to virtually any vehicle. Aftermarket block heaters are inexpensive, and can be well worth it when you consider the nicer mornings and reduced wear and tear they offer. So, unless you're driving a 1970 Chevelle, which we assume isn't your daily driver, bundle up, scratch your car and get moving. In conclusion, warming up your car in cold weather is essential for both comfort and engine performance. Generally, it takes about 5 to 10 minutes for your vehicle to reach an optimal temperature, but modern engines are designed to warm up more efficiently while driving. Instead of idling, consider starting your journey gently after just a minute or two of warming up. This approach not only saves fuel but also reduces emissions. Remember, taking care of your vehicle in cold conditions can lead to better performance and longevity. Thank you for watching, and stay warm out there.